everyone, it's Safrina from Feng Shui and Prosper, and if I am brand new to you, I am a classical Feng Shui consultant, and I help my clients to tap into peak prosperity flow in their home and in their business, in their offices, with classical Feng Shui as well as other holistic spiritual tools. Now today, Today I don't have a specific topic in mind, but I will be taking, I will be going over the questions that I received via email and going through some of the they're a little bit more general, but also questions that can hopefully stop your frustration, at its tracks, because there are definitely a lot of misconceptions, a lot of myths around Feng Shui that has gotten some of you sweating at night, like you're losing sleep because you think this thing is a Feng Shui issue, but it actually isn't. Okay, so let's go to the very first one. This is a very big one. I have about 5 or 6 people asking me exactly about this. I have a kitchen in the Northwest. Is there a cure? Now, if you guys have not heard of this before, having the kitchen in the Northwest is known as fire at Heaven's Gate. And in the Bagua, if you guys don't follow the correct, if you guys are curious about which Bagua I'm referring to, I have another video on Facebook as well as on YouTube, which I will link in the comments, that talks about Bagua and how it relates to different members of the family. Okay, now the Northwest, in terms of the trigrams in the Bagua, the Northwest is the Qian trigram, and that is the trigram for the man of the house, the patriarch. And so if you have a kitchen in the Northwest, it is an issue if there is a man in the house. If you are and this was one of my consulting situations where it was the house had a widow and her kids, so there's no man of the house. The sons at that point they weren't considered man of the house at that point. And so my client was worried about having that kitchen in the Northwest because she heard of fire at Heaven's Gate, but it only affects the man of the house. And just as a really quick insight to my own personal experience with this is years ago, before we even had kids, my husband and I, we lived in a place that had a kitchen in the Northwest. And what that did to my husband was it gave him huge blockages where career was concerned. There was a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. And so it wasn't fun times for him at all. And so if you're seeing this, and I've had corporate clients, like CEOs of company, like the ones who are struggling, and I look at their house and I'm like, well, you have your kitchen in the Northwest. You can Feng Shui as best as you can, but unless, so the next question, the question here is there a cure? I wish there was a cure for the kitchen in the Northwest, you guys. The true cure is really to move the kitchen. And I know it's not, if you're renting, it's not something that you can do, right? Like at that point, we were only renting that place. Even if you own the place, renovating a kitchen is a huge expense. It's not something that you can do just willy-nilly at the drop of a dime, right? So the true cure is to renovate. And I know some of you guys, if you Google with Northwest kitchen cure or whatever, there's going to be a bunch of people telling you that, oh, this is going to work, that's going to work, this is going to work, that's going to work. I can tell you right now, and this is before I got certified, I can tell you that I tried many of these items hoping that it was going to help my husband. But this is now what I call fast food Feng Shui. All it did was have me spend money, and I didn't see any results, any shifts for my husband at all. So the good news, the bad news is we were renting, we couldn't renovate. But the good news is because we were just renting, that we could actually just move out. And so when we moved out, then things started getting better. Okay. So for those of you guys who sent me that question about kitchen in the Northwest, you can use a permanent salt cure and everything, but that is a small solution. The really big solution is to move your kitchen. Okay. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news on that one. Next one. Can a fish tank be in the southeast this year? And the tank is a closed tank. So if you're talking about this year, 2018, certain homes can take a fish tank in the southeast and it will actually work really well for them. But for those of you guys who are in my Feng Shui 2019 registered group, if you guys are not registered, go to that link right now, because I talk about water placement for 2019. For 2019, I would not recommend a fish tank in the southeast or any water feature in the southeast, because the annual energy in the southeast if it's activated with moving water, you're going to increase chances for illness, chances for loss, chances for accidents. If you're, looking for a job, or if you're in business, it's chances for more competition. So you definitely don't want that. And even financial loss, right? In terms of loss, it could be losing things, it could be robbery and things like that. Your reputation could be at stake as well. So, for this year, as in 2018, again, we're looking at the permanent energy as well. Certain homes can still take a southeast fish tank, but for 2019, I do not recommend anyone to put a water feature in the southeast at all. At all. Okay? There's no gray area here in terms of southeast water placement for next year. Do not do that. Okay? And the tank, whether it's a closed tank or not, we're really looking at the movement of the water. Is the water so that determines whether it's a yin or a yang water. I think there is oh, okay. I had one question about what makes a water feature yin or yang water. So just kind of related to this question here, whether it's a closed or open tank, it doesn't matter. We're looking at the water movement. As long as the water is continuously moving, that's yang water. Even if it's a fish tank and if you have fishes in there, the fish helps it move, right? But if you have a fish in there, most likely you also have a pump. So the pump also moves the water. So closed or open is not the factor. The factor is their movement. You can have a fish tank, but if there's no water, there's no, backtracking. So that makes it yang water feature, okay? If the water is consistently moving. Some of you guys are asking about those water coolers, like the 5-gallon water coolers. Personally, I won't see that as a yang water feature unless someone is there, like, pressing on the water 24/7. It needs to be consistently moving. Otherwise, it's yin water. I know certain experts might disagree with this, but this is just from me and my observation. And so yin water is, even if it's a big fish tank, if there's no pump and there's no fish in there, the water is still, it's a yin water placement. Okay? So that's the difference between yin and yang water. And then, oops. Okay. So next one. I struggle with activating positive permanent energy, especially if annual or monthly energy is negative. This is a really great question. Although it's a Pandora's box, because then everyone would say, how do I know my permanent energy? How can you figure out your permanent energy properly? One, get a get a consultant. 2, get classically trained. And 3, you can join me in my manifesting code. It's not in-depth, but if you want like in-depth permanent energy information, then look for a classical feng shui course, because permanent energy is tricky. Sure, you think it can be in a book, but you read a book, and trust me, I've done this. You try looking for information of permanent energy in the book, but there's a lot of contradiction, there's a lot of other confusions, and most of the time they don't really give you the formulas and the theories behind it. So, you can play around with the permanent energy as best as you can as a feng shui enthusiast, but just know that there are some minefields that you need to navigate around, and most books don't let you know how to navigate that properly. Okay. It's just like, someone can Google how to make a bomb, but if the instruction is bad, then the bomb's just going to go off on you, right? It's the same thing. The instruction needs to be full, complete, and not open to interpretation. So when it comes to, if the permanent energy is positive, but the annual or the monthly flying star energy is negative, I err on the side of caution. I do not activate it. I wait until the negative energy goes away, either monthly or annually. Only then I will activate the permanent energy. Which is why most homes, financially for instance, there are 3 money corners. Some homes even have 4, right? So that's the permanent energy. So let's say a home has 4 wealth corners. Then I look at the annual energy. Where are these directions that are afflicted? So if, let's say 2 out of the 4 wealth corners are afflicted for the year, then that leaves me 2 other wealth corners to activate. Okay? And those of you guys in Manifesting Code know this, we do the monthly energy update as well, right? Every month, first week of the month, I send out monthly flying star updates for you guys, specific to your period and your facing. So again, go back to this case study. So this home has 4 money corners, but because of the year, there's only 2 money corners left that can be activated because the other 2 are negative for the year. And if there are certain months where, like, let's say one of the money corner is afflicted for the month, then I stop activating the one that's afflicted for the month, and I keep the other one on. Or you never know, both of them could be afflicted the same month. So I turn off my activation for the month. The permanent energy, while it's the slowest acting, once it takes hold, it is the one that is strongest. The annual energy, the energy moves faster, but the result is not as permanent. Can I use the word permanent? I suppose as the permanent energy. Okay, so there's a bit of a balancing act here, which is why, when I was doing my feng shui when I do my feng shui consults, the full consultation, I look at the permanent, annual, and the monthly, because that is when you get the best results. Granted, not many people can afford that package with me, but that is the most holistic one. So those of you guys in Manifesting Code, though, that's where I share the monthly feng shui placements with you guys, because I also want you guys to get the best results without, and not running into the issue of unknowingly triggering the bad annual or the bad permanent energy. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Next one. Is it better to sleep in a good personal direction or in a room that has good yearly energy? Now, Again, other people might disagree with me, but in my almost 10 years as a Feng Shui consultant, I see people sitting or sleeping facing a direction where they think is their personal best direction, but it is energetically bad. Guess which one takes precedence? The yearly energy, okay, or even any energy, yearly or the permanent energy. The personal direction, I really don't use it as much. But if you really believe it so much, you can use it when you're outside of your home. You use it when you're in a meeting, when you're on a date, and things like that. But even then, I still wouldn't use a personal direction. Those of you who know qi men dun jia, or even the daily flying stars, if you guys know how to, calculate the daily flying star, oh my gosh, that's a Pandora's box right there. If you know how to calculate the daily flying star, then you can figure out for that day what are the good directions and what are the bad directions. I find that to be more effective than facing your own personal direction. Okay. So where this question is concerned, I would go to a room that has good yearly energy. Even better if it also has good permanent energy. So then you get that beautiful positive double whammy right there. Okay, so this is a very interesting one because I see this over and over again. I'm worried about placing a shoe cabinet by my entrance. What is the Feng Shui impact? Now, these are back in the days when I read those fast food Feng Shui books and they said, oh my gosh, like clutter is the worst thing in Feng Shui. I have a video about clutter and why it's not a Feng Shui issue. So you can have, case in point, my master Feng Shuied a Buddhist temple. And that temple has great external landform and has great energy internally. And the entrance, when I got there, the entrance was like strewn with other people's shoes because inside they wear slippers, right? So they take off their shoes, so the shoes are everywhere. Excuse me, let me take a drink here. People's shoes are everywhere. And yet that temple is thriving. They get amazing donations. They have amazing events going on. People are, the staff or the whatever, there's a lot of harmony in that temple. And so the moral of the story is the shoe cabinet has no Feng Shui impact. You can place it anywhere. The only thing that I would do is if, let's say, you need more metal at your front door, then you use a metal shoe cabinet. If you need more wood at your front door, then you use a wood shoe cabinet, or you paint it based on the element, the colors of the element. That's the only way I would use it for Feng Shui purposes. Other than that, location-wise, is a non-issue. Okay. Can you Feng Shui a car if you use it for business? Most transactions happen in the car as well. So, if you're a road warrior, right? You're a salesperson or whatever, you do your sales calls in the car, you do even your video conferences in the car, you have your printer in the car, you have your credit card processor in the car, whatever it is. I know many people who the car is their whole office, right? You carry your supplies, you bring your clients, whatever. So, can you Feng Shui a car? Not really. Not where Feng Shui is concerned. However, when I look at a client's astrology, and if there is a potential for accidents, then I ask them to hang something in the car. It doesn't have to be like a Chinese looking thing. It's just a symbol of protection. whatever their religious or spiritual beliefs are, right? So I have, Christian clients where they have like a little thing that's kind of blessed by the church. Or if you're Buddhist, a client had like an amulet of Guan Yin that was also blessed by the monk, and then they hang it by the rear view mirror, right? That's the only time where I kind of, use, like include the car, but not so much as a feng shui thing, more in terms of astrology. Okay. Now, with that said, you can do above and beyond feng shui to make your car more prosperous. So there are car fresheners. Some of you guys know I love essential oils. And I'm with doTERRA. I love, love, love that brand. So if you have a car freshener, I would do like a prosperity blend, right? Prosperity that would have patchouli or bay or bergamot or wild orange or arbor, or I'm missing the other, ginger, essential oils. Just have it kind of diffused in the car so that it has that energy of prosperity in the car, right? Or you can do crystals. You can put a couple of crystals in your dashboard or whatever, right? Citrine, jade, aventurine, pyrite. It's not feng shui per se, but you can definitely change the energy of the car, especially if you use it as an office. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. Oh, this is kind of similar to the, okay. So if you have a negative permanent flying star, yet a positive annual star in one area, what should we do? Again, I err on the side of caution. It doesn't matter where the negative energy lies, be it permanent, annual, or monthly. If any of those layers, so that's the 3 layers of energy that I work with, permanent, annual, and monthly. If either of those layers of energy have negative energy, I do not activate. Okay? Otherwise, you activate for money, let's say, but then you're triggering accidents. Or you activate for money and then you're triggering a third party in your relationship. Or you activate for relationship and then you lose your money. Like, what's the point? Okay? I only activate when it is absolutely safe to activate. So meaning no negative energy. Next one. Okay. This is a very common one as well. What remedies can you apply when a husband and wife are opposite in animal signs and East and West groups? So they're clashing astrologically, and I guess one is East group, one is West group. So if you follow me for any amount of time, you know I keep saying forget about the East-West group. Forget about it completely. Disregard that. Do not do feng shui based on East-West group. So now that we're not looking at East or West group, where, her next other part of her question is the clashing animal sign. You don't really, there are a few things a few feng shui placements that you can do based on your animal sign. For instance, activating nobleman luck. Some of you guys who did the fast action bonus in manifesting code, you got that. But most of it is more personal feng shui, not so much things around the house that you place. And so, yeah, unfortunately for this, there's not much for you to do really. And even people think if you're clashing, then that means that the marriage is going to be pretty rocky. That's not the case at all. Again, most of you guys, you're only looking at the year that you're born. But remember, in a Chinese astrology, there's 4 pillars. There's the year pillar, the month pillar, the day pillar, and the hour pillar. If you're only basing your relationship with your partner, you're only basing it on the year pillar, you're not looking at the full picture. You're disregarding the, 3/4 of the energy. So even if based on the year, that you and your husband are clashing, and I've seen this many, many times, they're based on the year, they're actually an astrological clash. However, on the other 3 pillars, the month, the day, and the hour, there's actually elements that support each other. So the marriage actually is really strong, very passionate, very committed. And so that's the thing. You know, that is my issue with what kind of information do I give you guys in terms of Feng Shui, in terms of astrology. Because for me, partial information can actually be dangerous because you're losing sleep because you're not getting the full picture. And a lot of you guys have done your have gone on your Feng Shui with partial information. And most of you guys even miss information, right? So, you know, so that is, and like when I had students taking my certification course back in July, the next one is in March, by the way. So the students back in July, when they took my certification course, they're like, now we know why you can't give recommendations on, like, let's say a live stream like this, because there's so many other things that I need to be clear on before I tell you what to put, what to do. You know, so like Feng Shui should not be done partially. And to be honest, that's why I did Feng Shui 2019, because a lot of experts are out there. They only give you the energy for the year, but they're missing out this whole portion of how every house has uniqueness for it. So there's no one size fits all where Feng Shui is concerned. And that is actually quite dangerous when you do the one size fits all kind of approach to, especially to Feng Shui. Okay. Even for doctors, like medication, right? One medicine can work for one body, but the same medicine can actually trigger adverse reaction in another body. That's the same approach you need to take in Feng Shui. Okay. So I'm not giving you actual tips and techniques, not because I'm greedy and I want to keep the knowledge to myself. It's because unless I sit down with you and look through all the other stuff in your home, I could actually be doing harm for you by giving you just little tidbits, right? So I have to be very careful in terms of what I can share, what I can ethically share, and what I can't. So hopefully you guys can understand that. Okay, this one is a good question as well. What can I do about my son's room? His bed is almost right by the stove and there aren't many options. I'm sorry to say, you have to move the bed somehow. So if it's almost right by the stove, so that's the key here. Is he actually on the stove? If his bed is like missing the stove, even by like a couple of inches, that's good. What you don't want is to be sleeping directly above the stove. Okay? Meaning the bed itself. If he has a bedroom above the kitchen, but his actual bed, like let's say this is the stove on the main floor and then the bed is here, that's a non-issue. Because some of you guys, think that a bedroom or even a bathroom above the kitchen is a bad thing. No, you're just looking at the actual structure. So for the bedroom, you're looking at where the bed is in relation to the stove. And for the bathroom, you're looking at where's the toilet bowl in relation to the stove. You don't want the toilet bowl above the stove. And you don't want the bed above the stove. If they're, missing each other, then that's fine. So if you don't have a lot of options in moving your son's bed, as long as it's missing the stove, even by just a little bit, you're fine. Okay? Sometimes you have to sacrifice a little bit. Let's say he has a double bed right now. And because of the size of his room, then, no matter what, he's going to be by the stove. Then maybe downgrade to a twin size bed. Sometimes that's needed. Okay? Are fireplaces, electrical or wood burning, a good luck tool to use in a condo? And which direction, if any, would I need to place it in? So fireplaces, electrical or wood burning, is good, especially if you have the auspicious number 9. However, so the second question is, which direction? I can't tell you which direction because it is dependent on your period and your facing. So for those of you guys who are watching and you're in manifesting code, okay, you can put the fireplace, not even just the number 9, actually. You can put the fireplace in your money power spots as long as there is no bomb, and no bomb and no X marks. Those of you in manifesting code know what I'm talking about. So if you want, and then obviously you look at the annual energy as well, okay? Because manifesting code, we look a little bit more into the permanent energy. So those of you in MC, if you want to know where to put the fireplace, first step is to look at where your money spots are. Does it clear the X spots and the bomb spots? And then number 2, you look at the annual energy and see where, and like superimpose those 2 energies, and then you can figure out where you can put the fireplace. This would be to activate, you can use that to activate for finances. Okay. So in terms of placement, it is dependent on your period and your facing. All right. That is all I have in terms of prepared questions, and we are at 40 minutes. So roughly about half an hour in already in terms of the actual content. Let's take a look at questions outside of here. Give me a minute, let me go through. Dulce, am I pronouncing it correctly? I'm reading your question, but I don't think I quite get it. Oh, okay, got it. Okay, let me add this to broadcast. Okay, so Dulce is asking, what can you do to a house that has a guest house divided by a pool? You want better energy at the guest house. Feels like the front house is bad chi. So the guest house, and it's like the mommy and the child, right? The main house is the mommy, the guest house is the child. You actually deal with them separately. Yeah. Just like if you go to see a doctor, the doctor's going to check on the mom, right? Whatever the mom needs, then there's a prescription for that. And then the doctor's going to check on the kid and see what the kid needs, right? They need to be done separately. So the pool, whether it divides the house or not, the guest house and the pool are 2 separate structures. So they're done separately. Okay. Do I have a book? I do not have a book because, and I actually started a few years ago writing a book, but again, my fear is to miss out on a piece of information that could do more harm than good. And that's another reason why I have the Feng Shui 2019, because like a book is static. Once you have it published, whatever mistakes or things that you missed in the book, unless you do another round of printing, which is costly, then that mistake is forever in the book. But again, this is a push for Feng Shui 2019. If you're not there yet, who loves Feng Shui 2019? Give me some love in the comments here. Show me some love. And that's part of the reason why I have a Facebook group there. And, those who took a look at the webinar, you guys saw that there were a couple of things that I missed out. So I'm just going to add them back in. But it's less static that way. It's more of a live document, like a PDF that I can just fix the typo or whatever mistake and then just send it back out to you guys. And also there's a private Facebook group where I can clarify things if you have questions, right? So I needed to do it in a format where I know it's not just once and done. And I hate that. I hate taking a course and then once you're done with the course or the training, you can't go back to the teacher when you have questions. So I know how it is as a Feng Shui student, and especially knowing how confusing and how complicated true Feng Shui is. That's why I can't write a book. Otherwise, it's going to be like an anthology or whatever. It's going to be like 800 pages. And even then, I might feel like I don't have everything in there. So that's the thing. Okay. Okay, this is a good one. Missing area in the room or house. Is there an impact to Feng Shui? So what should we do? This one, don't freak out over missing areas. I can tell you guys that much. Don't freak out over missing corners, because sometimes you're missing a corner that's actually a bad corner. In that case, it's like good riddance, right? You don't have to worry about inadvertently activating a bad energy. However, if one of your money spots is missing in the grand scheme, in the main layout, then you can activate it in a different room. So let's say you're missing northwest, right? You're missing the northwest corner. The permanent energy is good and the annual energy is good. I think someone in my Feng Shui 2019 Facebook group was saying, oh, darn it, I needed the northwest corner. Then you can actually activate the northwest corner in other rooms, in your bedroom, in your office, in your kitchen, in your living room, as long as there's no negative energy there. Okay. So I wouldn't just quickly write it off as a bad thing when you're missing a corner. You need to look deeper. There's many times when I did a private consult with a client and they're like, oh my goodness, I have a missing corner, don't I? And I'm like, yeah, but the corner that you're missing is actually the worst for money. Do you want that corner? No. So it's fine. No issues. I share so much. Yes, I do. And maybe it, like I said, every advice, every time I do a live stream, every time I do a course, you guys take a little bit of me, but I do it lovingly and willingly. Okay, so I am going to end it here. I know the Sky is asking, is this group of mine on Facebook? It is on Facebook, but the Feng Shui 2019 is a paid group. As in, like, you have to be a registered member of Feng Shui 2019. You can do it here. fengshui2019.com. Once you register, you get all the replays, and we have an upcoming webinar on how to use the my Feng Shui and astrology calendar, and you get access to the private Facebook group, as well as you can post your questions on that Facebook group regarding what we cover for Feng Shui 2019, and well, I'll be there to answer the questions. Oh, okay, Imelda. If the prosperous financial energy 861 is located in a bathroom, is there any specific strategy to be cured to activate it, you mean, right? In addition to using the element that feeds that energy. So the tricky part of the bathroom is, again, other people might have different opinions on this, but let's say if it's auspicious, you need to find a way to spend more time in there. So do you really want to spend a lot of time in the bathroom? Then maybe, right? It's so above and beyond placements, you need to find ways to use it more, like take hour-long baths, maybe read your book there, or do your makeup there instead of in the bedroom. I don't know. You have to figure out ways for you to spend more time there. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to end it here because we are at 50 minutes right now. But I do realize that there were a ton of other questions that were sent to me that I didn't manage to go through. Well, some of them were not general. Some of them were, you know, dependent on your period and your facing. So I didn't want to cover it here. But those of you in Feng Shui 2019, if you have questions around the annual energy for your period and for your facing, you can ask me in the Facebook group, okay? Because some of the emails that I got, I was like, I had to reply. I'm like, can you post this in the private group? You know, it's not something that I can or should address in a public live stream like this. All right, you guys, thanks so much for watching. I might do this again next week. Let's see. If I can't find the topic, then I'll just take questions. All right, everyone, thanks so much for your time. And and the replay will be on Facebook, and I'll be uploading that into YouTube as well. Thanks. Bye. Hello. This is Safrina Kadri from Feng Shui and Prosper, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do try to put out a brand new video every week. So if you subscribe, then you can make sure that you don't miss out on any of the other content that will be coming out your way.